Jennifer Petersen, Salem District. Utah declared pornography a public health crisis in 2016 and passed a new law in 2021 requiring all print and electronic porn sites to carry a warning label on the harms of porn. The failure to do so is a $2,500 fine. Utah had this to say, quote, "Whereas pornography is creating a public health crisis, whereas pornography perpetuates a sexually toxic environment, whereas efforts to prevent pornography, exposure, and addiction, to educate individuals and families concerning its harms, and to develop recovery programs must be addressed systemically and in ways that hold broader influences accountable. Whereas pornography is contributing to the hypersexualization of teens and even prepubescent children in our society. Whereas due to advances in technology and universal availability of the internet, young children are exposed to what used to be referred to as hardcore but now considered mainstream pornography at an alarming rate. Whereas the average age of exposure to pornography is now 11 to 12 years of age. Whereas this early exposure is leading to low self-esteem and body image disorders, an increase in problematic sexual activity at younger ages, and an increased desire amongst adolescents to engage in risky sexual behavior. Whereas exposure to pornography often serves as a child and youth sex education and shapes their sexual templates. Whereas because pornography treats women as objects and commodities for viewers to use, it teaches girls that they are to be used, and it teaches boys that they are to be users. Whereas pornography treats children and women as objects, often depicts rape and abuse as if they are harmless. Whereas pornography equates violence towards women and children with sex and pain with pleasure, which increases the demand for sex trafficking, prostitution, child sexual abuse images, and child pornography. Whereas potential detrimental effects on pornography users can impact brain developing and functioning, contribute to emotional and mental illness, shape deviant sexual arousal, and lead to difficulty in forming and maintaining intimate relationships, as well as problematic or harmful sexual behaviors and addiction. Whereas recent research indicates that pornography is potentially biologically addictive, which means that the user requires more novelty, often in the form of more shocking material, in order to be satisfied. Whereas a biological addiction leads to increasing themes of risky sexual behaviors, extreme degradation, violence, and sexual abuse images, and child pornography. Whereas pornography use is linked to lessening desire of young men to marry, dissatisfaction in marriage, and infidelity. Whereas this link demonstrates that pornography has a detrimental effect on the family unit, and whereas overcoming pornography's harms is beyond the capability of the afflicted individuals to address alone, end quote. I doubt Virginia children are any less impacted than Utah children. I have no doubt that children are exposed to similar content on the internet as content in our libraries. I have heard SCPS employees state this in public comments as a justification to retain these books. Does SCPS want to be viewed as no better than the internet? Public comments from SCPS employees tried to smear parenting skills by stating that we don't trust our children not to go against family values by reading such books. We also tell our children to listen to their teachers. By the school supplying harmful, sexually explicit, inappropriate materials containing child rape, child trafficking, grooming, rape, detailed sexual escapades, incest, bestiality, and BDSM, you have become their window into this. SCPS employees have also said during public comments that not all children have an ideal home life as a justification to retain these books. A Northern Virginia librarian tried to use a similar justification, and she is being investigated for failure to report as a mandatory reporter. Is this a hill that SCPS wants to die on? Virginia Code subsection 2.2-2827, recently used in SB 656, states, quote, any depiction or any picture, end quote, not material taken as a whole. A parent in Pennsylvania is working towards obtaining a federal injunction nationwide on such books under federal obscenity laws, Title 18, which sections 1466A and 1470 come with a 5 to 20-year prison sentence for violating. I'm confident your lawyer can explain the potential implications. After 10 months of public comments, signs, social media posts and comments, freelance star letters, calls to the FCC, school board comments, book challenges, and appeals, no one can claim ignorance to the existence of these books. And yet, even during open houses today, parents have reported that Read banned book posters in teachers' classrooms. It seems that there is a blatant disregard and even support for sexually explicit books to be in the hands of minor children by SCPS public servants. What would be SCPS's liability if a perpetrator of a sex crime claimed library content as a defense, or the victim of said crime uses that same claim when seeking damages? While a policy doesn't require anybody in the challenge or appeals process in the administration to read the books, SCPS employees are also not required to read the books prior to distributing them to students. With that being said, I've submitted another 13 challenges. We are at a total of 21 books. With each challenge, it only further shows the problematic and deeply widespread and pervasive issues that are there. Thank you.